Minho stared out the window of the Earth ship as they approached the alien planet. His heart was beating fast. This was it. First contact with another intelligent species in the galaxy. He had studied alien languages for 10 years, but nothing could prepare him for this moment. "Stop looking so nervous," Yuna said from behind him. She was checking her datapad, reading through cultural notes one more time. "You're the best we have. That's why they picked you." Minho turned around and gave her a weak smile. "What if I mess up? What if I say something wrong?" Yuna walked over and put her hand on his shoulder. "Then you apologize and fix it. That's what humans do best. We adapt." The ship landed on the Valthine homeworld with a soft thud. Through the window, Minho could see tall buildings made of blue crystal. The sky was purple, and 2 moons hung in the distance. Everything looked so different from Earth. Ambassador Doyen gathered the team together. He was an older man with gray hair and serious eyes. "Remember, the Valthine value honor above everything. Every word you say matters. Every promise you make is binding. Do not make jokes. Do not be casual. Is that clear?" Everyone nodded. Minho felt his stomach twist with worry. They walked down the ramp and onto the alien soil. A group of tall beings waited for them. The Valthine looked almost human, but their skin had a slight blue glow. Their eyes were larger and completely silver. They wore long robes that seemed to flow like water. At the front stood Queen Lyria. She was taller than the others, and her robe was decorated with golden symbols. Her face showed no emotion, but her silver eyes watched everything with sharp intelligence. "Welcome to Valthine Prime," she said in perfect English. Her voice was musical but cold. "We are honored to meet the humans of Earth." Doyen bowed deeply. "The honor is ours, Your Majesty. We come in peace and friendship." The formal greetings went on for what felt like hours. Every word was carefully chosen. Every gesture had meaning. Minho stood behind Doyen, trying to remember everything Yuna had taught him about Valthine customs. Finally, they were led into the palace. The walls were made of the same blue crystal as the buildings outside. Light seemed to dance through them, creating beautiful patterns. They entered a large hall where other aliens sat around a circular table. The negotiations began. The Valthine wanted to trade technology. Earth wanted knowledge about faster-than-light travel. Both sides spoke carefully, weighing each word. Minho listened and translated when needed. His brain worked fast, picking up patterns in the Valthine language. It was complex, with many layers of meaning. A single word could mean different things depending on how you said it. After several hours, Queen Lyria called for a break. The humans were shown to a side room where they could rest and drink water. Minho felt exhausted from concentrating so hard. "You're doing great," Yuna whispered to him. "The Queen seems impressed with your translation skills." Minho nodded, but he was too tired to feel proud. He drank some water and tried to relax his mind. When they returned to the hall, the negotiations continued. The Valthine explained their laws about trade. Earth explained their need for guidance in galactic politics. Everything was formal and structured. Then Queen Lyria presented a problem. It was a complex diplomatic puzzle about resource sharing between 3 different alien species. She explained it carefully, then looked at Doyen. How would Earth solve this? Doyen looked confused. He turned to his advisors, who whispered among themselves. No one seemed to have a good answer. Minho studied the problem. He saw the pattern. It reminded him of game theory from Earth. He knew the solution. But should he speak? He was just a translator, not a lead negotiator. Queen Lyria's silver eyes moved to him. "You understand," she said. It was not a question. "Speak, translator." Minho stood up. His mouth felt dry, but he explained his solution in the Valthine language. He showed how all 3 species could benefit if they changed the timing of their trades. It was simple once you saw it. The Queen listened carefully. When he finished, she nodded slowly. Clever. Very clever. Your mind sees patterns that others miss. Minho felt a wave of relief. He had not embarrassed Earth. In fact, he might have impressed them. The Queen stood up. This has been productive. We will continue tomorrow. For now, rest. As everyone prepared to leave, Minho felt good about the day. He had done well. Maybe this first contact would work out after all. But then the Queen walked over to him. She looked at him with those strange silver eyes. Your solution was elegant, she said. You think differently from others. Minho wanted to thank her properly. He wanted to show respect. In his mind, he searched for the right Valthine words. He remembered a phrase about following wisdom. It seemed perfect. He spoke in Valthine, carefully pronouncing each word. Your wisdom shows the true path. I would follow it to the end of the universe. The room went completely silent. Every Valthine froze. Their silver eyes went wide. Some of them put their hands over their mouths in shock. Queen Lyria stared at him. For the first time, her face showed emotion. Surprise. Then something else. Was that a smile? Minho looked around in confusion. What had happened? Had he said something wrong? Yuna's face had gone pale. She looked like she might faint. The Queen stepped closer to Minho. She placed her hand over her heart in a formal gesture. I accept your proposal, Diplomat Minho of Earth, she said clearly. Her voice rang through the hall. Proposal? What proposal? Minho's brain stopped working. He looked at Yuna, desperate for help. Yuna was shaking her head slowly, her eyes full of horror. Queen Lyria turned to her advisors. Inform the council. We will begin the traditional preparations. She looked back at Minho. We have much to discuss. My intended. My intended? What did that mean? The Queen walked away, her robes flowing behind her. The other Valthine bowed to her, then to Minho. They all filed out of the room, whispering to each other in excited voices. Only the humans remained, standing in shocked silence. Doyen turned to Minho. His face was red. What did you say to her? I just complimented her wisdom. I used a phrase about following her to the end of the universe. It seemed respectful. Yuna sat down heavily in a chair. Oh no. Oh no, no. No. What? Minho asked. His voice cracked. What did I do? Yuna looked up at him. That phrase, those exact words, in Valthine culture, that's how you propose marriage. The room spun around Minho. Marriage? He had just proposed marriage to an alien queen? And she accepted, Doyen said quietly. She accepted in front of witnesses. Minho felt his legs go weak. This could not be happening. This had to be a nightmare, but it was real. He had just accidentally asked the most powerful ruler in this part of the galaxy to marry him, and she had said yes. Minho sat in his room on the Earth ship, staring at the wall. His hands were shaking. The last few hours felt like a bad dream, but he knew it was real. He had proposed marriage to Queen Lyria by accident, and she had accepted. Yuna paced back and forth in front of him. She had been researching Valthine marriage customs for the past 3 hours. The news was not good. It's binding, she said for the 10th time. Once a proposal is accepted in front of witnesses, it cannot be broken. If you try to back out, it's considered the worst kind of dishonor. What happens if I dishonor them? Minho asked, though he was afraid of the answer. They cut all contact with Earth, forever, and they tell every other species in the galaxy that humans cannot be trusted. We would be isolated. No trade, no technology sharing, no allies. Minho put his head in his hands. So I have to marry an alien queen to save Earth's future in space? It's worse than that, Yuna said softly. She sat down next to him. If you refuse, the Valthine might see it as an insult serious enough to declare war. War? Minho looked up. Over a marriage? To them, it's not just a marriage. It's a sacred bond. Breaking it would be like spitting on everything they believe in. Ambassador Do-yun entered the room. He looked 10 years older than he had that morning. I just spoke with Earth Command. They're not happy. What do they want me to do? Minho asked. Do-yun sighed. They want you to fix this. Somehow. They suggested you talk to the Queen and explain it was a misunderstanding. I tried that already, Minho said. Right after it happened. She said she understood, but the law is the law. Once words are spoken, they cannot be taken back. Then we need to find another way, Do-yun said. He did not sound hopeful. A knock came at the door. A Valthian servant entered and bowed. The Queen requests the presence of diplomat Minho. She wishes to speak with him privately. Minho's heart jumped into his throat. Now? Yes, honored intended. She waits in the garden. Minho looked at Yuna and Do-yun. They both nodded. He had no choice. He had to face this. The garden was beautiful. Strange alien flowers glowed softly in the purple twilight. Water flowed in streams that seemed to float in the air before falling into pools. Queen Lyria stood by one of these streams, her back to him. You came, she said without turning around. I was not sure you would. Your Majesty, Please, when we are alone, you may call me Lyria. She turned to face him. In the soft light, she looked less intimidating, almost sad. I know you are frightened. Minho did not know what to say. Yes, he was frightened, but saying it out loud seemed rude. Lyria walked closer to him. I want you to understand something. I know your proposal was an accident. I knew it the moment the words left your mouth. Your face showed complete confusion. Then why did you accept? Minho asked. If you knew it was a mistake? Because I had to. Lyria looked away. I am not just a woman, Minho. I am a queen. Every action I take is watched by millions. Every word I speak becomes law. If I had refused your proposal in front of the court, I would have insulted you. Insulted Earth. It would have ended our negotiations immediately. But now we're both trapped, Minho said. Yes. Lyria's voice was quiet. Both trapped by tradition and honor. They stood in silence for a moment. Minho watched the floating streams of water. He thought about his life on Earth, his family, his friends. Would he ever see them again? What happens now? He asked. Tradition requires a courtship period, Lyria explained. Before marriage, the couple must spend time together, learn about each other. It usually lasts 3 months. 3 months? That was something, at least. Time to find a solution. During this time, we will attend ceremonies together, share meals, discuss philosophy and politics. It is meant to ensure compatibility. Minho felt a small spark of hope. And if we're not compatible? Lyria gave him a sad smile. There is no provision for that. The courtship is a formality. The marriage is assumed. The hope died. Minho felt anger building in his chest. Anger at himself for being so careless. Anger at the situation. Anger at the stupid traditions that put them both in this position. This is insane, he said. He knew he should be more respectful, but he was too frustrated. We barely know each other. We're from different species, different worlds. How can your people expect us to get married? They don't expect it, Lyria said calmly. They require it. There is a difference. But you're a queen. Can't you change the law? I am a queen because I follow the law, Lyria said. Her voice was firm but not angry. The moment I place myself above it, I lose the right to rule. Do you understand? Minho did understand. It was the same on Earth. Leaders who broke their own rules lost all authority, but understanding did not make it easier to accept. So what do we do? He asked. Lyria was quiet for a long moment. "We could go through with the marriage," she finally said. "It would be political, not romantic. Many royal marriages are arranged for alliance purposes." "I'm not royalty," Minho pointed out. "I'm just a translator." "You are a representative of Earth. That is enough." Lyria walked to the edge of the garden and looked up at the stars. "Or we could search for a legal exception. Some way to honor the proposal without a full marriage." "Is there such a thing?" "I don't know," Lyria admitted. "Our laws are ancient. Perhaps somewhere in the old texts, there is something we have missed." Minho joined her at the garden's edge. He looked up at the same stars. Somewhere up there was Earth. Home. "I don't want to trap you in a marriage you don't want," he said. Lyria looked at him with surprise. "You think of my wishes?" "Most humans would only think of themselves in this situation." "Most humans haven't accidentally proposed to a queen," Minho said. Despite everything, he almost smiled. Lyria did smile. It was small, but real. "You have an unusual way of seeing things, Minho of Earth. Perhaps that is why I am not as distressed as I should be." "You're not?" "I have had many suitors," Lyria said. "All of them wanted power. They wanted to be king. They looked at me and saw a throne, not a person." She turned to face him fully. "You looked at me and saw a problem to solve. It is, refreshing." Minho did not know how to respond to that. Was she saying she actually liked him, or just that she appreciated his honesty? "The courtship period begins tomorrow," Lyria said. "We will attend a breakfast with the council, then a tour of the Science Academy, then a formal dinner." She sighed. "It will be exhausting for both of us." "I'll try not to accidentally propose anything else," Minho said. Lyria laughed. It was a short, quiet laugh, but genuine. "See? Humor. Most Valthine have forgotten how to laugh. We are so focused on honor and tradition that we forget joy." She started to walk away, then stopped. "Minho, I will help you search for a way out of this. I promise. We will find a solution that protects both our peoples." "Thank you," Minho said. "Do not thank me yet. We may fail, and if we do—" She did not finish the sentence. Minho understood. If they failed, he would become a prince consort to an alien queen. He would leave Earth behind forever. His life as he knew it would end. As Lyria disappeared into the palace, Minho looked back up at the stars. 3 months. He had 3 months to find a way out of this mess, or 3 months to prepare for the strangest marriage in human history. He was not sure which scared him more. The first week of courtship was strange. Minho attended formal events with Queen Lyria every day. They ate breakfast together while council members watched. They visited museums and learning centers. They sat through long ceremonies where other Valthine gave speeches about honor and unity. Through it all, Minho tried to be respectful. He learned the proper ways to bow. He memorized which foods were appropriate to eat first. He even started to understand the subtle meanings in Valthine body language. But he also stayed himself. When something confused him, he asked questions. When he disagreed with something, he said so politely. The Valthine court was shocked at first. No one spoke to the queen so directly. Lyria, however, seemed to enjoy it. "Tell me about Earth marriages," she said one afternoon. They were sitting in her private study, supposedly discussing philosophy. Really, Yuna had assigned him to learn more about her in case they needed to find a diplomatic solution. "They're different for everyone," Minho explained. "Some people have big ceremonies. Others just sign papers at a government office. Some people don't get married at all." "Don't marry? But how do they form family units?" "They just do. Love doesn't need a ceremony. Those ceremonies can be nice," he added quickly, not wanting to insult her culture. Lyria looked thoughtful. "On Valthine, marriage is about duty. Love is hoped for, but not expected. Especially for royalty. That sounds lonely, Minho said before he could stop himself. Lyria's silver eyes met his. It is. I have been queen for 15 years. In that time, I have had advisors, servants, subjects, but no friends. No one who speaks to me as just Lyria. I'm speaking to you as just Lyria right now, Minho pointed out. Yes, you are. She smiled slightly. It is strange and nice. Over the following days, something unexpected happened. Minho and Lyria began to actually enjoy each other's company. He taught her Earth card games. She showed him Valthene poetry, which was surprisingly funny once you understood the wordplay. He explained human history, including all the mistakes and wars and terrible decisions. She appreciated his honesty. Most species only shared their greatest achievements with the Valthene. She taught him about Valthene's science and philosophy. He was fascinated by how they saw the universe as a web of connections and obligations. Everything is linked, she explained. Every action creates a reaction. Every promise creates a bond. To break a bond is to tear the web. But what if the bond was created by mistake? Minho asked. He was not subtle. Then the bond is still real, Lyria said. Intent matters less than action. We believe the universe puts people together for a reason. Even if one person is a clumsy human and the other is a queen. Especially then. Lyria looked at him carefully. You still want to escape this, don't you? Minho thought about lying, but he had been honest with her so far. I don't want to trap you, or myself, but... He hesitated. But, she prompted. But you're not as terrible as I feared, he admitted. You're actually pretty interesting. Lyria laughed. High praise from a human. Meanwhile, Yuna was working hard behind the scenes. She spent hours in the Valthene archives, searching old legal texts with the help of a scholar named Jiwon, another human cultural expert who had joined the mission. Together, they looked for any exceptions to marriage law. There has to be something, Yuna muttered, scrolling through another ancient document. No legal system is perfect. Jiwon rubbed her tired eyes. Maybe we're looking at this wrong. We're searching for exceptions. But what if there's not an exception, but an alternative? What do you mean? What if there's another kind of bond? Something that honors the proposal but isn't marriage? Yuna sat up straight. Keep talking. In old Earth cultures, there were many types of formal relationships: blood brothers, sworn companions, political alliances sealed with oaths. What if Valthene culture has something similar? They dove back into the archives with new energy, and 3 days later they found something. Look at this, Yuna said, pulling up a text that was over 1,000 years old. It's called a bond of state. It's a formal partnership between rulers for political purposes. It has all the weight of marriage, but without the personal parts. Does it still exist in modern law? Jiwon asked. I don't know. But if we can prove it was a valid alternative in the past, maybe we can argue for it now. Yuna brought the information to Minho that evening. He read through it quickly, hope rising in his chest. This could work, he said. If Lyria agrees. You need to ask her, Yuna said. Soon. The marriage ceremony is in 2 months. That night, Minho requested a private meeting with Lyria. They met in the garden again. It had become their unofficial meeting place, away from watching eyes and listening ears. I need to show you something, Minho said. He handed her a datapad with the ancient text. Lyria read it carefully. Her expression was unreadable. When she finished, she looked up at him. Where did you find this? My colleague Yuna discovered it in your archives. It's old, but it's real. A bond of state. A political partnership that satisfies honor without requiring marriage. I know of this, Lyria said slowly. But it has not been used in centuries. Could it be used now? Lyria was quiet for a long time. She walked to the floating stream and watched the water. "Perhaps," she finally said, "but the council would need to approve it, and many of them are traditional. They want this marriage." "Why?" Minho asked. "Why does it matter so much to them?" "Because it would tie Earth to Valthene," Lyria explained. "A permanent alliance. If you were my husband, Earth would be obligated to support us in all matters. It would give my people security." "But a bond of state could do the same thing," Minho argued. "It's still a formal alliance." "True." Lyria turned back to him. "But it's also easier to break." Minho understood. "You want to keep that option open, to break the bond if things go wrong." "Don't you?" Lyria asked. "You've been kind these past weeks, Minho, patient, even friendly, but you still want to go home eventually. Don't you?" He could not lie to her. "Yes, I miss Earth, my family, my real life." "Then we will propose the bond of state to the council," Lyria decided. "It may not work. They may refuse. But we can try." "Thank you," Minho said sincerely. "Do not thank me yet." Lyria smiled, but it was sad. "We may both regret this." The council meeting was scheduled for the following week. In the meantime, the courtship continued. Minho and Lyria attended more ceremonies, more dinners, more public events. But something had changed between them. There was an understanding now, a mutual respect that went beyond duty. During one particularly boring ceremony, Lyria leaned over and whispered to Minho, "If I have to hear one more speech about agricultural trade, I will scream." Minho bit back a laugh. "At least it's not a 3-hour opera about historical battles." "That's tomorrow," Lyria whispered back. "I'm sorry in advance." They shared a look, and in that moment, Minho realized something surprising. He would miss this when it was over. Miss her. But he pushed that thought away. The bond of state was the solution. It had to be, because the alternative was giving up everything he knew, everyone he loved, for a life he had never chosen. Even if part of him wondered if that life might not be so terrible after all. The night before the council meeting, Minho could not sleep. He sat in his room on the Earth ship, preparing his arguments. He had to convince the Valthene Council that a bond of state was not just acceptable, but better than marriage. He had to convince them that humans were worth trusting, even in a less binding arrangement. He had to save Earth's future and his own life in one speech. No pressure. The council chamber was enormous. 50 Valthene elders sat in a circle, their silver eyes all focused on Minho. He stood in the center with Lyria beside him. Ambassador Doyen and Yuna watched from the visitor section, looking nervous. An elder named Korath stood up. He was old even by Valthene standards, his skin more gray than blue. "You wish to change sacred tradition," he said. His voice was cold. "Explain why we should allow this." Minho had practiced this speech 100 times, but now, with everyone staring at him, his mind went blank for a moment. Then he remembered what Lyria had taught him. Speak from the heart. Valthene respect honesty. "I made a mistake," he began. "I spoke words I did not understand. But Queen Lyria honored those words because of her commitment to tradition. Now I ask you to honor a different tradition, an older one." He pulled up the image of the ancient text on the chamber's display. The bond of state, a formal alliance between leaders. It has the weight of marriage but serves political purposes. It was created for exactly this kind of situation. "That law is 1,000 years old," Korath said. "It is no longer used." "But it's still valid," Yuna called out from the visitor section. "We checked. The law was never removed from your legal codes. It's still there." Korath glared at her. "Visitors do not speak in council." "Let her speak," Lyria said firmly. "She has done more research than any of us." Korath looked unhappy but sat down. Yuna stood up, though Minho could see her hands shaking. The bond of state was created because your ancestors were wise. They understood that not all alliances need to be marriages. Sometimes political unity serves better than personal union. Another elder, a woman named Velra, spoke up. But the human proposed marriage. He spoke the words. How does changing to a bond not dishonor those words? This was the tricky part. Minho took a breath. In human culture, we have a saying, "The spirit of the law matters more than the letter of the law." I proposed a bond to your queen. I spoke of following her wisdom. A bond of state allows me to do exactly that, to follow her leadership through formal alliance. Clever, Velra said, but possibly too clever. It sounds like twisting words to escape obligation. It's not escape, Minho said. It's finding the right form for the obligation. Marriage would make me Lyria's husband, but I am a diplomat, not a prince. A bond of state lets me serve as what I actually am, Earth's representative in a formal alliance with Valthine. The council murmured among themselves. Some seemed convinced, others looked skeptical. Then Korath stood again. I say no. The proposal was for marriage. Marriage is what honor demands. This human seeks an easy way out because he fears commitment. I fear making a promise I cannot properly keep, Minho said. Is that not also honorable? Before Korath could respond, alarms blared throughout the palace. Red lights flashed. A Valthine soldier ran into the chamber. Your Majesty, we're under attack! Everyone jumped to their feet. Lyria's expression turned hard. Who? Who attacks us? The Krethiks Collective, 3 warships. They appeared from hyperspace without warning. Minho's blood ran cold. The Krethiks. Yuna had briefed him on them. They were a hostile species that attacked weak targets. They must have seen Earth's vulnerability and decided to strike while the alliance was uncertain. They're targeting the human ships, the soldier continued. They've already disabled one of your escort vessels. Doyen's face went pale. Our defense ship can't hold against 3 Krethiks warships. Lyria turned to her military advisor, a stern Valthine named Hana. Status of our fleet? We can have ships there in 10 minutes, Hana said. But the human vessel may not last that long. 10 minutes. The Earth ship, Minho's home for the past weeks, would be destroyed. And with it, any chance of finding another solution to the marriage problem. We need to coordinate our defenses, Minho said quickly. Human ships are fast and agile. Valthine ships have better shields and weapons. If we work together, we are not allied yet, Korath interrupted. Why should we risk our ships for Earth? Because it's the right thing to do, Minho shouted. He was done being polite. Because the Krethiks are attacking during diplomatic negotiations, which is a violation of galactic law. Because if you let them destroy us, every species in the galaxy will think you're weak. Lyria looked at him, then at her council. He's right. We cannot allow this attack to succeed. It would set a terrible precedent. But our protocols, Korath began. Forget protocols. Lyria's voice rang with authority. This is an act of war during peace talks. We respond with force. Hana, deploy the fleet immediately. Yes, Your Majesty. Hana rushed out. Minho grabbed a communication device. Doyun, get to the Earth ship. I'm coming with you. What are you doing? Lyria asked. I'm going to coordinate the defense from our ship. You coordinate from here. Together we can hold them off until your fleet arrives. You're not a military commander, Lyria said. No, but I understand human tactics. And right now, you need someone who can think like both species. He looked at her steadily. Trust me. Lyria hesitated only a moment. Go, but don't die. We still need to resolve this marriage question. Minho almost smiled. Yes, Your Majesty. He ran from the chamber with Doyen and Yuna close behind. They raced through the palace corridors and into a small shuttle. The pilot flew them up toward the orbiting Earth ship at maximum speed. Through the window, Minho could see the battle. 3 large Krethix vessels were circling the human ship, firing energy weapons. The Earthship's shields flickered with each hit. "We're not going to make it," Yuna said. "Yes, we are," Minho said firmly. He opened a communication channel to both the Earthship and the Valthene Palace. "This is Diplomat Minho. Patch me through to both defense commanders." A moment later, 2 faces appeared on screen. One was Sungho, the human tactical officer. The other was a Valthene military leader named Tavor. "Gentlemen, we're going to work together," Minho said. "Sungho, what are the Krethix patterns?" "They're circling, focusing fire on our weak points. They know our shield frequency. They're adapting." "Tavor, when will the fleet arrive?" 8 minutes, the Valthene commander said. "But you need to survive until then." "We will. Here's what we're going to do." Minho's mind worked fast, seeing the pattern like he had seen the diplomatic puzzle weeks ago. "Sungho, use Earthship's speed. Make random jumps. Don't let them predict your position. Tavor, have your defense platforms fire at the Krethix ship's sensors. Don't try to destroy them. Just blind them." "That's not standard protocol," Tavor said. "I don't care about protocol. Will it work?" Tavor paused. "Yes, it should." "Then do it." The orders went out. The Earthship suddenly accelerated, jumping to a new position. The Krethix ships fired where it had been, hitting empty space. At the same time, Valthene orbital platforms sent precise shots at the Krethix sensor arrays. One Krethix ship went dark, its sensors destroyed. The other 2 pulled back, confused. "It's working," Sungho said. "Keep moving," Minho ordered. "Don't give them a stable target. Tavor, keep hitting their sensors." The shuttle reached the Earthship and docked. Minho ran to the bridge with Doyun and Yuna. He took a position at the tactical station, coordinating with both human and Valthene forces. "Krethix ships are regrouping," Sungho warned. "They're adapting to our pattern." "Then change the pattern," Minho said. "Lyria," he called to the open channel. "Can you have your platforms fire in a rotating sequence? Make the Krethix think there are more platforms than there actually are?" From the palace, Lyria's voice came through clearly. "Tavor, implement that strategy." "But do it," Lyria commanded. The Valthene platforms began firing in a carefully timed sequence. It looked like there were dozens of platforms instead of just 5. The Krethix ships pulled back further, reassessing the threat. "5 minutes until fleet arrival," Tavor announced. "We can hold for 5 minutes," Minho said. He looked at the tactical display, seeing the dance of ships and weapons. Human creativity. Valthene precision. Together, they were stronger than either could be alone. A Krethix ship fired a heavy weapon at the Earthship. "Brace for impact!" Sungho yelled. The ship shook violently. Alarms blared. "Shields at 20%, someone called out. "One more hit like that and we're done," Doyun said. "Then we make sure they don't get another hit," Minho said. "Lyria, can you have all platforms focus fire on that one ship?" "All at once?" "We'll be vulnerable on other sides," she said. "I know, but if we take out their heavy hitter, the other 2 will think twice." "Do it," Lyria ordered. All 5 Valthene platforms fired at once, their beams converging on a single Krethix vessel. The ship's shields overloaded. It began venting atmosphere. The other 2 Krethix ships turned to flee. But they were too late. The Valthene fleet arrived, dropping out of hyperspace in perfect formation. The Krethix ships jumped to hyperspace and disappeared. The bridge erupted in cheers. They had done it. Earth and Valthene, working together, had survived the attack. Minho slumped in his chair, exhausted. Yuna hugged him. Doyun clapped him on the shoulder. On the screen, Lyria smiled. "Well done, diplomat." "We did it together," Minho said. "Yes," she agreed. "We did." The council chamber was full again, but the mood had changed. What had been doubt and suspicion before was now something different. Respect, maybe, or at least curiosity. Elder Korath stood, but his voice was less harsh than before. What happened today was unprecedented. Humans and Valthene fought together against a common enemy. Some say this proves the value of alliance. It does, Minho said. He was tired, but he had to push forward. It proves we're stronger together, not through marriage, but through partnership. Another elder, one who had been quiet before, stood up. The human speaks truth. I watched the battle coordination, the way they combined our precision with their creativity. It was effective in a way neither could achieve alone. But the proposal stands, Korath said. Honor must still be satisfied. Lyria stepped forward. Then let us satisfy honor in the right way. Minho proposed to follow my wisdom to the end of the universe. Today, he did exactly that. He followed my command in battle. He trusted my judgment. He coordinated with my forces. This is what the proposal promised. This is what a bond of state would formalize. Velra, the female elder, nodded slowly. The queen makes a fair argument. The spirit of the proposal has been fulfilled. But marriage is permanent, Korath argued. A bond of state can be dissolved. What security does that give us? Minho had expected this question. Marriage can end too, he said. Humans divorce. I don't know if Valthene do, but I'm sure there are ways to end marriages that fail. No bond is truly permanent if both sides don't want it. He walked closer to the council circle. But here's what makes the bond of state better. It's honest. We're not pretending to be in love. We're not forcing a personal relationship. We're creating a political partnership based on mutual benefit and respect. That's more honest than a marriage of convenience. And honesty is honorable. The council was silent. Minho could see them thinking, weighing his words. Then Lyria spoke again. I support the bond of state, not because I want to escape the marriage, but because I believe it serves both our peoples better. Minho is right. We work well together as political partners. We trust each other's judgment. We complement each other's strengths. These are the qualities of a good alliance. Why force them into the shape of marriage? Because tradition demands it, Korath said, but his voice was weak. Tradition should serve us, not trap us, Lyria said firmly. I am queen. I honor tradition, but I also have the wisdom to know when tradition needs to adapt. She looked around the council. Today, we faced an attack because our enemies thought we were weak. They thought the alliance between Earth and Valthene was unstable. They were wrong. We proved we can fight together, think together, win together. A bond of state formalizes that truth. It tells the galaxy that we are united, not through marriage, but through something equally strong, partnership. The elders looked at each other. Minho held his breath. Finally, Velra stood. I vote to accept the bond of state. The spirit of the proposal has been honored. The alliance has been proven. Let us formalize it. One by one, other elders stood. Each spoke their agreement. Even some who had seemed against it before now voted yes. Only Korath remained seated. Everyone looked at him. You need unanimous consent, he said. I could stop this. Yes, you could, Lyria said. But should you? Korath looked at Minho for a long moment. You are braver than I expected, human. Most would have just agreed to the marriage for the sake of peace. Peace built on dishonesty isn't real peace, Minho said. No, it is not. Korath slowly stood. I vote yes. Let there be a bond of state between Earth and Valthene. The chamber erupted in voices. The decision was made. The bond would replace the marriage. Minho felt like he could finally breathe. Beside him, Yuna squeezed his arm. Doyen was smiling for the first time in weeks, but when Minho looked at Lyria, her expression was complicated. Happy, yes. Relieved, certainly, but also something else, something sad. The ceremony for the bond of state was held 3 days later. It was smaller than a wedding would have been, but still formal and important. Representatives from a dozen alien species attended, including ambassadors from Earth. Minho and Lyria stood before the council. They each spoke an oath in both English and Valthine, promising to uphold the alliance between their worlds. They signed a treaty that outlined trade agreements, mutual defense, and cultural exchange. When it was done, they clasped hands. Minho noticed Lyria's hand was shaking slightly. "Are you okay?" he whispered. "I'm fine," she said. But she did not sound fine. A celebration followed. There was music and food and speeches about the new era of cooperation. Aliens from different species mixed and talked. The human delegation looked happy and relieved. But as the party went on, Lyria slipped away. Minho noticed and followed her. He found her in the garden, their usual meeting place. She stood by the floating stream, watching the water. "You got what you wanted," she said without turning around. "Freedom, the ability to return to Earth eventually." "We both got what we wanted," Minho said. "An alliance without personal sacrifice." "Yes." She finally looked at him. "So why do I feel like I've lost something?" Minho knew the answer because he felt it too. These past weeks they had grown close. Not romantically, but genuinely. They had become friends, partners. And now that closeness would change. "The bond of state means I'll be Earth's permanent ambassador here," Minho said. "I'll see you often. We'll work together on policy and trade." "It's not the same," Lyria said softly. "No," Minho agreed. "It's not." They stood in silence for a moment. The party sounds drifted from the palace, but here in the garden it was quiet. "Do you regret it?" Lyria asked. "Pushing for the bond instead of the marriage?" Minho thought carefully about his answer. "No, the marriage would have been wrong, for both of us. But I don't regret the time we spent together. You're an amazing person, Lyria, queen or not." "You're not so bad yourself," she said with a small smile. "For a human who accidentally proposes to alien queens. I'll try not to make it a habit." They both laughed. It was a real laugh. Not the formal kind they used in public. "We'll make this work," Lyria said. "The bond, the alliance, all of it." "I know we will," Minho said. "We're good at figuring things out together." "Yes, we are." Lyria held out her hand, not for a formal gesture, but just as a friend. Minho took it. 6 months later, the human-Valthine alliance had grown into something remarkable. Earth scientists worked with Valthine researchers, creating new technologies. Human artists collaborated with Valthine poets. Trade flourished. And at the center of it all were Minho and Lyria. They met several times a week, usually in the garden. They discussed policy, solved problems, and occasionally just talked about their lives. Other species took notice. The Krethiks had not attacked again. In fact, several hostile species had become more diplomatic, seeing how strong the Earth-Valthine partnership was. "We're building something new," Yuna said one day. She had stayed on Valthine as part of the permanent diplomatic team. "The galaxy has never seen anything like this, a true partnership between species." "All because I messed up a translation," Minho said. "No," Yuna corrected, "because you turned that mistake into an opportunity. That's what humans do best." Minho thought about that. It was true. Humans were not the strongest species, not the smartest, not the most advanced, but they were adaptable, creative, willing to try new things. One evening, as Minho was preparing a report for Earth Command, a young human diplomat named Jinho approached him nervously. "Sir, I need to ask you something." "Go ahead." "Did you ever... the Queen. You spent a lot of time with her. Did you ever actually fall in love with her?" Minho considered the question. It was one he had asked himself many times. "Love is complicated," he finally said. "Did I love her romantically? No. But did I care about her, respect her, enjoy her company? Absolutely. Sometimes that's more valuable than romance. We became true partners." That's rare, even among married couples. Jinho nodded, looking thoughtful. Thank you, sir. After the young diplomat left, Minho returned to his work. But his mind wandered to the garden, where he would meet Lyria tomorrow. They had a trade dispute to resolve and a new cultural exchange program to plan. He smiled. This was not the life he had expected, but it was a good life, a meaningful one. The next day in the garden, Lyria greeted him with news. Earth's proposal for the Joint Science Academy has been approved. We'll break ground next month. That's excellent, Minho said. Your people and mine working together, building together. It's what the bond of state was meant to achieve, Lyria said. Unity through partnership. They walked through the garden together, discussing plans and ideas. As always, their different perspectives led to better solutions than either could have found alone. You know, Lyria said, when you first proposed to me, I thought it was a disaster. The worst diplomatic incident in Valthene history. And now? Minho asked. Now I think it was the best accident that ever happened. She looked at him seriously. You changed more than just a diplomatic crisis, Minho. You changed how we think. About alliances, about honor, about working with other species. We changed it together, Minho said. Yes, together. Lyria smiled. Just as the proposal promised, to the end of the universe. Or at least to the end of this diplomatic mission, Minho joked. Same thing, really, Lyria said. They both laughed. And in that moment, Minho realized something important. He had not married an alien queen, but he had found something equally valuable, a true partnership, a real friendship, a way to make both their worlds better. Years from now, when historians studied the early days of human expansion into the galaxy, they would point to this moment. Not the accidental proposal, not the marriage that almost was, but the bond of state that created a new model for galactic cooperation. And it all started with a translator who made a mistake and a queen who was wise enough to turn that mistake into opportunity. That was the human way, after all. Not avoiding problems, but solving them. Not running from embarrassment, but learning from it. Not following old rules blindly, but creating new ones when needed. The bond of state stood as proof that sometimes the best solutions come from unexpected places, and that the strongest alliances are built not on forced obligations, but on mutual respect and genuine partnership. Minho looked up at the purple sky. Somewhere up there, Earth continued on its journey into the stars, and thanks to a diplomatic disaster turned triumph, that journey would be less lonely. Because humans had learned something important. They were not alone in the universe. And they did not have to be perfect to make friends. They just had to be themselves.